Time to time, I would wonder if we were all born and destined to be mediocre and average people in our lives and in our spirituality. And while there is only a few chosen ones who are meant to shine and go up and reach their potential and beyond. If the first possibility is true, being that not everyone is inherently special and not everyone can be extraordinary, then it could be a waste of time to try, because not everyone is meant to reach that high of a rank. And so I can just relax, wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, and stick to my minimal religious obligations, and that's it, And there's nothing I'm missing out on, pretty much. And if the second possibility is true, that everyone is capable to reach their potential and be extraordinary, then that makes us uncomfortable, right? Because that means there is a valuable destination to reach, and we may be actively ignoring it every single day in our daily routines, which means there is work to do, and there is a whole other story waiting to be told for you to become something very, very special. A lot of us can subconsciously put limits as to how far we can reach spiritually. We think perhaps Allah didn't intend for me to reach these levels, like I'm not that guy or that kind of girl. And so we become complacent into ever evolving to a higher state. So let's fast forward a little bit, or a lot actually. So this is Surah Al-Zumar. Allah takes us to the last day, okay? And He brings us very dramatic scenery to make us wake up and take action. He mentions what certain people would be saying when faced with the truth that they have failed and they didn't take the opportunity of making use of the advice given to them. And here's what they would say. أو تقول حين ترى العذاب لو أن لي كرة فأكون من المحسنين. Or lest someone should say when he actually sees the punishment, if only I had another chance. I would certainly be among those who do good. Allah tells us that there will be people who will see the hellfire and will claim along the lines of, if there was ever a restart button, I would have been from those who excelled, or from the muhsineen. And that's amazing, because they won't just wish they were from the Muslims or the mu'mins, but from the muhsins, which is essentially the highest spiritual state of iman a human being can ever reach in this life. Because we have Islam, iman, and then ihsan. Ihsan is a state where you excel towards Allah and towards others. It's a very high, spiritual awareness that we can possess. As if to say, we all have the hidden capability to evolve to this stage in our lives. And we will all recognize this inner strength that we apparently always had on the day of judgment. Allah already gave us the green light for our extraordinary potential. Now it's just a matter of whether we want to go ahead or stay behind. We always speak about believing in Allah and His Messenger ﷺ, along with the tenets that make up our faith, but rarely do we ever speak about having faith in ourselves and trusting in the possible good we can create as a result of those beliefs. Think about the addictions you may be going through, the struggles that are holding us down. Allah just let us realize that we will soon know that we had the capability and that we always had it in ourselves to excel further. And that same idea is in a short surah. And I think most of us are familiar with that, Surah At-Tin. And if you have memorized this surah at such a young age, then I guess this mystery has been on your mind for quite some time. Why does Allah start this surah by swearing by figs and olives? وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. I swear by the fig and the olive, and by Tur, the Mount of Sinai, and by this peaceful city. There are many ways of looking at this, but I'll share one view by our scholars which really resonated with me. So the figs and the olives that grew in Palestine, where Jesus ﷺ preached His message, would represent the Christian tradition. Mount Tur is the place which Musa ﷺ received the Torah from Allah, represents the symbol of the Jewish tradition. The peaceful city of Mecca represents Abraham's legacy of the Kaaba that he was built for all mankind later, and our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, of course, has carried this forward. So if we were to really contemplate these stories, struggles, and sacrifices made behind these profound objects or symbols, we will begin to understand how heavy and rich our history really is. Essentially, it would capture most of humanity's history that made a difference in bringing our greatest virtues as human beings to light. And so Allah has effectively showcased the greatest of mankind's virtues in those prophets. This legacy, as amazing as it is, it was still built by human beings, just like us, that rose to their spiritual and mental potential to establish the divine mission, illuminate light amongst the darkness. And so these men are testimonies to the fact that we can all rise to such lengths, that we are ultimately pure and noble and not otherwise. That is what we are destined for. Allah then answers the oaths of these mentioned legacies by claiming the human being has been indeed created in the best form. Allah is essentially telling us, once again, that we possess the same potential which created the likes of Ibrahim, Moses, and Jesus. Our humanity is the key. And that's why Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created man in the best composition. That's why mankind can and will reach its potential once these prophets' ways of guidance are emulated and properly followed. Allah is once again letting us know that we are not a malfunction, but that we are actually in the best composition. And like all great things that are created in this whole universe, we all need divine light from above to help us realize how far we can reach. In conclusion, we are not meant to be, beat down, mediocre, routine-oriented people. We are human beings, created by a mighty God who is capable of all things. And so you are capable. That's where we come from. Point is, if you think you're destined to just wake up, go to work, eat and sleep, and that's it, think again. And of course, as always, I just want to remind you, this is not a tafsir. This is a reflection on the established meanings of the verses amongst our scholars. I'm not your neighborhood scholar or your teacher. I'm just some Muslim kid.